Okay, so getting to know our OGCRs. So once we've got to know our coding book and kind of getting the feel for the layout, we need to start learning the basic foundational instructions for using our coding book. All of that information is right here in my OGCRs. So these are our foundational instructions. This is what everything is based on, no matter what type of facility that we're working at. So with that in mind, just remember your OGCRs are broke up into 4 sections. So those 4 sections, that's going to be section 1 is your general guidelines, section 2 and 3, that's going to be for your non-outpatient facilities, and that's on page 31 and 32. And then on 33, they're going to have section 4, which are your outpatient guidelines. So section 1 is for everybody. Section 2 and 3 is for non-outpatient, and section 4 is for your outpatient. Your conventions are actually incorporated in the alphabetic and in the tabular list as instructional notes. So as we're going through looking for certain codes, I'm going to tell you, hey, you should have went back and looked at your instructional notes. That's where it's telling us, it's guiding us which way we need to go to find that correct code. So if you look at section 1A, number 1, in that section, it's going to include the index of diseases and injury. So it's telling you the ICD-10 is divided into the alphabetic and the tabular. It tells you that. So if you're looking at on page 3 of the OGCRs, it'll say conventions, the ICD-10-CM number 1. So section 1A1. That's where we're at. So the alphabetic index, that's going to include your index of diseases and injury, your external cause neoplasm table, and your drug and chemicals table. So if those things are not tabbed, tab those now. Don't go any further. Go tab those because you're going to need them. And they are very important. Look at 1A2. So that's section 1A, number 2. And if you notice, look at the indents that they have. They're already starting you out looking at indentions. So you have to train your eyes. This book is really good about, in the alphabetic index, kind of lining everything up. If you see there's 2 little yellow lines, if you flip over, and that's just trying to keep your eyes on track. In the past, I've told my previous students, hey, get a ruler or something so that way you can kind of keep your eyes lined where they need to be. But this book actually has everything lined out for you with those yellow lines, so you can actually see which indentation that we're on. Are we on the first one or the second one? And then the more you indent, the more specific you get with that code. So just keep that in mind. You always want to match that to the medical record. So if we're going back to looking at structure, 1A2, the codes, it's telling you the format and the structure of your codes. So you will be tested on this, especially in basic coding. So your codes are actually anywhere between 3 characters and 7 characters. So if I ask you if a code with only 3 characters could be a complete code, it could. That could potentially be a complete code. Now, if my medical record gives me more information, it's probably not. But if I have a medical record that just says, hey, they have diabetes and tells me nothing else, then it's probably only going to be 3 characters. Now, when you are looking at your OGCRs, it goes on to tell you the tabular has categories, subcategories, and then codes. And it actually lays everything out for you. So your categories are going to be the first 3 characters. Okay, that's the first 3. That's the 3 before the little period. Now, the subcategories is going to be the 4th or the 5th characters. It's going to either have 4 or 5. That means that the first 3 are going to be my category. Then I'll have subcategories. They indented to get those subcategories. And then it goes on to tell me my final subdivision is going to be a code. So I can't go any further. It's divided out as far as it can go. So that'll either be a 6th or a 7th character. Basically, what they're telling you is you have to code to the highest level of specificity. If you don't, the code is wrong. Okay, so you have to go as far as you can with that code. And if it requires a 7th character, you have to use that 7th character. As you indent, you break a code down as far as they can go into subcategories. Now, sometimes another character will be required and sometimes it's not. It just depends on what your medical record says and what your coding book tells you. And you have to learn how to use both of them to find your codes. This concludes our lecture on starting with our OGCRs. There's going to be more to come, so email me with any questions you might have, and I'll talk to you soon.